Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. I've actually been taking a little bit of a hiatus from recording because I've been sick. You might be able to tell it in my voice just a little bit. I've been very congested. I think something's going around in my office, or just in general in friend groups. I went to a wedding and people were definitely sick afterwards. Almost every person I talked to was sick. So I've been hesitant to record because I've been coughing so much. I didn't want to just cough directly into your eardrum. So I've been gone for a bit. But I wanted to sit down today and record a video that's a little bit different from my Reddit story videos because I've really been into keeping my life productive as much as possible because I'm going to be a father soon. My family is going to change a lot. I used to not really care about setting schedules and keeping up with things and kind of just thought, it doesn't really matter. I don't have like anything urgent to do in my life. But over the past few years, I've grown to have a lot more tasks that I have to accomplish and things that have taken priority, especially when it comes to budgeting. It's a lot different when you're budgeting just for yourself living somewhere versus having two people and a dog or, a kid coming along in the future. That's just something I've been learning a lot about in the past few years. And I like to share my knowledge, at least what I've learned works for me when it comes to productivity. Now, I won't touch on budgeting because I really am not qualified to give financial advice whatsoever. But if you really want to know, I just use Rocket Money. I'm not sponsored, I promise. But I just use them because it's pretty simple. My wife and I can both have it as one profile on our phone, and we can both look at it whenever we want on our separate devices. So it just makes it a lot easier to track incoming transactions and stuff like that. But not going into that because I am by no means qualified to give you financial advice. I'm just trying to learn myself. But what I really want to touch on today is how I keep track of important things I need to do. It feels like every single day I'm learning something new about, oh, adults have to do this all the time. I know a lot of people probably feel the same. Adulting is not super easy. I know that it's something we all have to do. I'm not complaining by any means by saying that. It's just that you have to go from basically having not much responsibility when you're a kid, somewhat having responsibility in high school, like probably having a job at some point, and then in college, same thing. You have responsibility of class, and then you have to do a job probably to pay for college stuff and or clubs, Greek life, different campus events, stuff like that, or just keeping up with your friends. You got to make time for your friends too. It becomes a lot. You really just got to keep up with a lot of different things, and you can't just remember all of them in your brain. It's basically impossible to do that. So I'm going to give you my different methods I've been learning recently and the way I stay productive without being on my phone as much. But at a bare minimum, the first things you should do is definitely get either a Google Calendar or use Apple Calendars, whatever works best for you. I use Google Calendars just because I like the interface better. And I share different calendars with my wife, and we just put things on our calendar that we have going on, or I just invite her as an attendee. Especially if you have things that are really important for multiple people, like if you're, married, or if you have kids, or if your roommates have events often that you all go to, or just things that you want to keep up with each other, stuff like that. Secondly, definitely use the Reminders app. If you're an iPhone person, I have an iPhone, so I use the Reminders app, but if not, just use any kind of reminder app. I set reminders for everything. I literally just tell my phone, I'm not going to say the name of it because it's going to hear me right now, my phone assistant, hey, set a reminder at 8 p.m. to take this medicine, like whatever it is. And it's a game changer. I probably have like 5 reminders a day set on my phone, and it literally helps me remember to do everything. Not trying to out myself, but I do have to take some medicine now because high blood pressure runs in my family. So that's unfortunate, but either way, I've never been used to taking medication every day. I pretty much would just take Advil if I had pain or had been running, had shin splints, stuff like that. And I've had to adjust to taking it every single night around the same time. But in the literal sense, the Reminders app has saved my life by reminding me to take that when I'm not paying attention or getting home late or whatever it is. It's so easy to just forget that before you get into bed because you're so tired. it reminds me to get up and do it because I'm like, I have to do this at this time or it'll just throw my whole routine off. But now that I've rambled for about 5 minutes, let's get into the actual things I use to stay productive that are not calendars. So the first thing I use is my favorite thing that I carry with me every single day. And it's a pocket notebook. You can use pretty much any brand. I had some off-brand ones when I first started out. I had about 3 in a row that were off-brand. But now I use the official Field Notes ones because I love the different versions they have. I recently got the 1943 editions that were horizontal and vertical, kind of like a old-timey police memo pad, like I'm in LA Noire or something. It's amazing to just have with you in your pocket to just be able to write anything down that you need to, or like write a note to someone and hand them that if you want to remember information instead of just, sending a text. It really helps me stay on top of things I need to do without having to get my phone out. Especially when I'm at work, I don't like to be just staring at my phone the whole day because if people walk by and just see me looking at my phone, that doesn't look good. But writing in a notebook, I mean, dude, I'm so productive. So pretty often I'll get my notebook out and actually write down my to-do list for the day if I remember them right then, or if I'm adding things on like, oh, I need to do that later. I'll just write it in my notebook right then. And then later I can put it in my phone if I really need to, if it's important, or I can just use the notebook as my checklist for the day as well since I have it on me. It's helped me reach for my phone a lot less, not only at work but at home too. Like I just don't want to be on my phone because the feeling of paper and writing on paper in general is just so much better than typing in your phone. I know that a lot of people probably know that already, but I'm telling you, like writing things down not only helps you remember them better than just typing in your phone, but just scratches something in your brain. But sometimes you do need to put them into your phone just to be able to track them better, and especially if they're long-term goals, you're not really going to be going back in your notebook and flipping through to the first page to check something. So what I use for that is an app called Todoist, and by no means am I sponsored by them. I just use it myself. They have different to-do lists you can kind of make, like projects, if you want to call it that. But essentially you can share them with other people too. So that's why I use that one, because I can share my weekly to-do list for like our house with my wife. So like if we have chores we need to do, or if, we're preparing to move things out of the nursery and have a timeline on like painting and putting things in there and what we're going to get rid of, donate, stuff like that. I'm putting it all in the shared Todoist list. And I'm going to put everything in the description as well, so you don't have to just remember all this. Don't worry. I'll have it down there for you after the video. It's just great to have a list running of things you need to do and set them. You can put like a weekly to-do list, like, hey, I need to do this sometime this week, and then not really mark a day, and just have it there so you can keep in mind, oh, I need to mow the lawn this weekend. Oh, I need to, take this to Goodwill, or like, oh, I need to clean this out before the end of the week. And the next thing is kind of moving away from phones, which is kind of my general ideology is the less phone, the better. And I'll touch on that a little bit more in the later end of the video, but I think that everyone needs a watch. And no, I don't mean a smartwatch. If you already have a smartwatch, that's totally fine. I think that you should keep it, not saying to just get rid of it or anything. I think the notifications are extremely distracting, and I think almost every person I know who has one cannot carry a conversation with me because they get a text and they look at their watch in the middle of talking. Smartwatches definitely have their place when it comes to fitness tracking. I think that's a great use for it, and honestly the main draw for most people is that reason. But it's just so distracting when you're actually trying to go about your daily life. Over the past year and a half or so, I've been building my own watch collection because I just have gotten so into watches. My wife actually got my first watch for me that I've had since I was, an adult. I've had a few when I was younger, but I think one of them died. I didn't know how to change it, so I just lost it. I had an old Timex Iron Man. My dad actually found it recently in our stuff up in the attic, I think. And he's like, do you want this? I'm like, heck yeah, I do. But I highly recommend you get a normal watch, not a smartwatch, just in general, and just try it for a day. There's so many options that you can do that are pretty cheap. My first watch for my wife was a Timex Expedition, and I'll throw links for these all in the description. I still love that watch. I have multiple different watches that I wear almost every day, and I don't wear that one as much, but I still love it so much. Like Timex is, the one thing about Timexes is they tick pretty loudly. So if that bothers you, then maybe go for a digital watch. I personally love the ticking noise. I don't know why, it just kind of calms me or just makes me focus a little bit harder because it reminds me that, kind of like a metronome, if that makes sense. But the Timex Expedition is a great option for most people starting out. The Timex Weekender is also a great option. The Timex Easy Reader, if you're someone who doesn't really care about the look of it or just wants legible numbers, I actually got one of these from my dad because he's old. No, I'm just joking. I got one with his favorite football team printed on the front, the logo for them on the front for his birthday, and he loved it because I think my granddad actually used to wear an old Timex as his watch. We never found where it actually was after he passed, but he's just iconic when it comes to affordability, is the way I can put it nicely. My granddad was cheap, is what I'm saying. But if I'm being honest, my favorite affordable watch brand is definitely Casio. There are so many good options for Casio that are not loud when it comes to ticking, like the Timexes are, durable, and just really affordable and great watches that last a long time. The Casio Duro is a great option. It's technically not called that, that's like the nickname for it, but I'll link that below. It's a dive watch, so you can wear it in the water. It has 200 meters of water resistance. So it's like $60 for a dive watch. Like, that is crazy in the industry. Not saying this is a good thing now, but I know Bill Gates has warned them before. So, even rich people wear these, trying to relate to us normies. But by far my favorite watches that Casio makes are the G-Shock. G-Shocks are so freaking durable. They have 200 meters of water resistance as well, so it's a dive watch in itself. You can swim with it, you can bike with it, you can jump out of a freaking helicopter with it and parachute into a war zone. People will literally bring these to war. They're so freaking durable. I love the story behind how G-Shock was made. I think the creator actually saw someone bouncing a rubber ball, or a kid bouncing a rubber ball in the park, and just had the idea, what if I put the insides of the watch surrounded by resin? And that's why it's so durable, is because of that technology from that simple story. They just saw a kid bouncing a ball. It's just nuts to me. But I have the G-Shock 5600. I think there's probably some letters after that model number, but I'm putting the link in the description and a picture. It's the basic square that everyone has. I didn't get the one that has all the solar capability and, satellite timekeeping. I like to keep it simple. It's just a simple timer, stopwatch, and an alarm on there. But if you really want some other features, they have some other options that are more expensive. That's just the cheaper version. That's the one I recommend the most, probably, because that one has so many good features. I use the timer every single day. The stopwatch feature as well when I'm doing stuff like just to time my task and see how fast I can get them done, or like how much time I've spent on doing this task, move to another one. It's amazing. I'm telling you, a watch will change your life. That's my best recommendation for the video. Easiest one to do. Doesn't change your life much. Just wear a watch. Trust me. Now, the next one's kind of interesting because it may seem counterintuitive when I'm talking about being away from technology more, but handheld gaming. If you're into retro games at all, you've probably heard of how many different emulation devices are out there when it comes to playing those old games. I grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s. I can't remember my exact first console, to be honest. I probably played different consoles before I owned one. I know I played a PS2 at my friend's house a lot, at the beach when we went to the beach, he had it there. But the one I really remember just loving more than anything was the GameCube. And it's really hard to find a device that plays the GameCube that's at a budget. So I had one that was a very small, I think it was the Miu Mini Plus, very small handheld. It went up to PS1 games. It actually was crazy for the price. Like, I highly recommend that one too, because it's really small, and that's what kind of made it harder because I have bigger hands. So it was kind of hard to play for long hours. Like, if I'm playing a PS1 game and I'm having to press like all these buttons and it's really small, like you're underestimating how small it is. Like, way smaller than the original Game Boy. But I wanted to get something that played GameCube games just to kind of play the games I used to play as a kid. Obviously, nostalgia is pretty huge these days. Everyone wants to go back to a simpler time. Who doesn't love that? So my wife was an absolute angel enough to buy me the Retroid Pocket 6 16 gigabytes of RAM edition for my birthday on pre-order. Now, unfortunately, they have discontinued the 16 gigabytes of RAM version due to the RAM shortage. I know. Rest in peace. A little moment of silence for them. But they still have the 8 gigabyte version available on their website. Not saying that you should get that one specifically, depending on what you want. I think that handheld gaming is so much better than sitting at your PC. I know that it makes it to where you're carrying it around everywhere, but it's actually helped me be off my phone a lot more. And rather than just scrolling on, TikTok or YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, I'm actually playing something that I love and going towards an end game in a task. There's not just like a never-ending scrolling going on when it comes to these games. They're finite. That's why I like retro games, is because not only are they pretty short most of the time, retro games were not as long as you see some of these games today. Like, I remember when I played Persona 5, I think it was like 100 plus hours. Like, I don't have 100 extra hours in my life now just to put into one game. But I mean, if I play Crash Bandicoot for 2 days and I end up finishing the game, like, I can do that while we're just watching TV or just relaxing after dinner for 30 minutes. It's great for short bursts of fun. Like, you're waiting for your coffee to be ready in a coffee shop or something. You can pull it out of your pocket or your backpack and play a little bit of Pokemon in between. And then you just save it exactly where it is, turn it off, put it back, boom. No harm done. Instead of scrolling on your phone, looking at nothing reels that are never going to really matter, you're not going to remember any of them. You're moving towards a goal when you're actually playing games. And considering that most of my channel has gameplay in the background, you know that I like games, of course. It's portable, so you can bring it on road trips and just play it in the car like the old days. And I really don't like sitting at my PC for long sessions anymore because, I have responsibilities when it comes to the household, so it's hard to just sit down for multiple hours without needing to do something in between. Like if the laundry finishes, I have to stop in the middle of a game of like Arc Raiders or something like that and get up and do the laundry, or like dishes we need to do, or like stuff like that, whatever it is. Bathe the dog. So this is perfect because it's great for short bursts. I think it's probably the best birthday gift I've ever received. So thank you to my wife for that one. Now it's funny, I just said all that because I haven't been playing it for a few weeks, and there's a reason for that. I still love it, don't doubt me on that. But I've recently got into another hobby that I'm really obsessed with right now. And that would be reading and audiobooks. If you told me I'd be this obsessed with reading as an adult, I'd probably tell you that you're a complete liar, because in high school and middle school, anytime we had a book to read for class, I hated it. I would use the Spark Notes almost every single time to write my paper and not even read the book because it was just so unbearable. I could not stand it. There were a few books I enjoyed reading. Like I remember To Kill a Mockingbird. Like I actually really liked that book. It was a classic. I remember my report on Paradise Lost in college, I think. But I hated summer reading. We had to read a book. I'm not kidding. You're going to think I'm lying when I say it. We had to read a book for summer reading. One was about World War II and how it was being a Japanese citizen of the United States after Pearl Harbor. Extremely heavy topic. That was a great book called Under the Blood Red Sun. That was weird. Like kind of just heavy compared to the one I'm about to tell you. The one that we had to read after that was about someone who could talk to dolphins. Yes, you heard me correctly. We had to read something about the persecution of Japanese American citizens after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in World War II, and someone who could talk to dolphins. What the heck were why did they choose those two books together? I remember that so distinctly because of how just jarringly different those books were. But I had a Kindle when I was a kid. I used to read a good amount of stuff on that. Like I have the Percy Jackson books. I actually have my bookshelf right behind me now. That's something that I've been doing is we've moved all of my office stuff to the back of our house. And the front room of our house is going to be the nursery for our sweet little girl. But I got a lot of the books I had at my house and brought them here. Well, let me rephrase. The books I had at my parents' house that I grew up in and brought them to our house here. So I have a lot of the Percy Jackson, the Olympians books. I loved those so much. I've got 2 of the Witcher books I still need to read. I have a lot of self-help books as well. I don't know why. Well, I guess I'm kind of giving a self-help speech right now, so that's the answer. I've come to love reading as an adult because I'm actually the one choosing the story I read. In school, if you didn't like the book halfway through, you didn't have the option to stop. You had to read it, you had to give a report on it, you had to talk about it in class if you got called on. You were forced. And pretty often I didn't like the book. Like, how many times can I talk about Lord of the Flies before it's played out? They killed Piggy, okay? They killed him. But I have come across a method that has worked for me amazingly when it comes to reading and audiobooks. See, now that I have a Kindle, it's actually a lot easier because I can carry them around with me without having to carry multiple books. I've literally got a whole series of books that I'm reading that is all on Kindle Unlimited, and I have 12 books of it. And I had the first 3 books that a friend lent me. And I would carry the first 2 around because I was so close to finishing the first ones. I had 2 books in my bag. They were getting ruffled by all the stuff in my bag. Now I have this slim tablet with 12 of them on there. So it's like, this kind of works. My method is, I always read 2 books at the same time. I do one as either a physical book or digital e-reader, Kindle, that is either fiction or story-driven, and then one that is more non-fictional, maybe it's still fictional and just more like realistic, or a self-help book. So I've listened to a few different ones about productivity. Cal Newport has got plenty of books about productivity. Digital minimalism, Slow Productivity is a fun book. And then sometimes I'll listen to nonfiction or just stories that are fictional, but more based in reality, not like a fantasy book or some kind of epic sci-fi. So for example, first book I was reading, and by reading I mean listening to on Audible, was Project Hail Mary. Highly recommend that book. It's probably my favorite book of all time. Just wanted to throw that out there. Then I was actually physically reading The Expectant Father, Ultimate Guide for Dads to Be. Yeah, not the most exciting book if you're not going to be a dad. So I had one that was nonfiction and a self-help book, and then I had a sci-fi book that I was listening to. Works out perfectly. And then recently I started the Cradle series by Will White. The first one's called Unsold. That's the books my friend lent me. He gave me the first 3 from his library. I've had them for almost 2 years and I just never got around to reading them. So I finally started that one. And then at the same time, I listened to an audiobook of Theo of Golden. If you've been on Audible recently, you've probably gotten it recommended to you. It's a great book, but it's more, it is fictional, but it's based more in reality. Like, there's no fantasy elements. It's really just a normal universe where the guys just are human beings and normal. There's nothing like crazy about it. Based in reality, you get what I'm saying. The reason I do this is because it helps me keep the story separate, but I can still enjoy 2 books at the same time in different formats. So physically reading a book on Kindle or paper has a different feeling than listening to an audiobook. So I'm reading the Cradle books that are more fantasy-based, have kind of magical elements to them. I don't want to get an audiobook of Lord of the Rings immediately in my ears at the same time I'm reading that, because I could kind of mix up some story elements and make it kind of hard to remember what is happening in each story. Now, maybe just 2 different genres, like if it's fantasy you're reading and then you listen to a sci-fi book, that could work. But I find it best to just have completely separate genres while you're reading and listening to books. It's worked perfectly for me. I've never gotten confused on the plot when it comes to the audiobook I'm listening to versus the book I'm reading. The Kindle is amazing. There's a lot of e-readers that are also just amazing if you don't want to pay for, Amazon-related stuff, because Amazon likes to make things obsolete. They recently canceled the connection to the Amazon store, the Kindle store, on a lot of Kindles. So, maybe in the future they will not be the main e-reader. But nothing beats the feeling of reading on paper, I'm telling you. But anywho, definitely try it out. I don't know if you're readers or not. If you are, you probably already know this. If you're not, I highly recommend just trying it. I mean, you may not love it immediately, I'm telling you, there's just something about reading versus just watching movies that it just scratches a different part of your brain. It's perfect. It helps me stay focused. I first off feel extremely intellectual when I'm doing it. But I mean, either one, there's a place for everything. You can bring your handheld gaming device to the airport and sit there and play games while you wait for your flight. You can bring an audiobook in your ears and listen to it while you wait for a flight. Or you bring a paper book or a Kindle and read while you like. No one's going to be judging you. You do whatever you like the best. These are just things that I personally love and have found like completely changed my life when it comes to actually being productive around these hobbies. My friend regularly tells me that I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to hobbies. He calls them my side quest. Because honestly, I do get little hobbies that last maybe like a week or so sometimes, like very occasionally. But I try and get really deep into the hobbies that I start enjoying. Like I started really enjoying watches, I got deep into it, and I have a somewhat nicer watch. And by nicer, I do not mean like a Rolex, by the way. I'm talking like a few $100s is nice for me. And I've got a whole collection, and people literally give me those as my gift for the year, like for Christmas and or my birthday. I've gotten multiple watches as gifts because everyone knows me as someone who loves watches because I got so into the hobby. And on my handheld gaming device, the Retroid Pocket 6, not saying to get that one by the way, but it's awesome. My brother-in-law has the Retroid Pocket Classic, which is the more vertical, old style Game Boy one that he got for Christmas a few years ago, and we just talk about that stuff all the time. Like, he knows that I'm into that too. Like, you can be into multiple hobbies at the same time. And reading, my wife has now gotten into reading as well. She's always loved it, but she's had a hard time focusing when it comes to being at home and in the quiet. And sometimes, guys, all it takes is a little push to get started. I know it sounds intimidating to start just read a book. Like, sometimes it's really hard to just be in the quiet and not lose focus. I would argue that it really just takes the right book to keep your focus. She started reading my book that I bought a few months ago. Actually, we were getting a book for her niece in the bookstore near us. And I saw it and it stuck out to me. It was The Outsider by Stephen King. And there's actually a TV show about it, I believe, that we're going to watch. And she's halfway done with the book. She started it last week. I mean, I'm extremely proud of her for focusing on it. Truly, the answer to all productivity is that you need to budget time for yourself. If you're not investing time in your own interest, then there never will be time for it. Another thing that I recommend is waking up early on weekends. I got up early today. It's a Saturday. It's not early anymore, but it was when I got up to start doing stuff. So, get up early and do the dishes if you have neglected doing them, or laundry, whatever it is. I usually get up early on Saturday and try and do the dishes before my wife gets up. I know it'll change when we have a baby because we'll be up at 2 a.m. every night. But just getting up early in the morning gives you so much extra time to get things done when most people aren't awake. If you live alone, I mean, no one's forcing you to get up. But a lot of the times, like, unless you have something planned for super early in the morning on Saturday, there's just so much free time you have that no one is expecting anything of you. Like, during the week, I don't really want to wake up at 5 a.m. to go do the dishes real quick before I go to work for 8 hours. But on Saturday, I mean, I get up like a reasonable time, like 7:30 maybe, go do the dishes or throw something in the laundry to start washing while I'm waiting or doing other things. And then after that, you can invest all your time into your own hobbies or play games or just, read or watch whatever show you have been wanting to watch the whole week. It's really up to you. I also want to share some of my personal rules when it comes to chores. I've always said this is kind of my baseline for knowing if I need to do something or if I should be lazy. Because sometimes I can be lazy, I'll be honest. It's not easy. But rule 1 is if it takes 5 minutes or less, just do it now. Unless you're literally walking out the door to go somewhere, 5 extra minutes is not going to affect your schedule that much at all. And it's going to help you so much more later because you won't have to do it when you're tired. Which brings me to number 2. If it'll be harder to do later, do it now. You don't want to get home on Saturday night after being out all day because you made plans or whatever you had to do or just working on a weekend as well. and have the dishes piling up in the sink, the trash overflowing in your trash can and in the dumpster, and then your laundry just flowing out of the bin, and your bathroom maybe a little bit dirtier and you need to clean that, all at the same time. If you wait to the last second on everything, it'll all hit you at once and you won't want to do any of it. I promise you, just do one thing at a time and you'll feel so much better. And the last thing I recommend trying, this one's a little more extreme when it comes to phone usage, but it's helped me and my wife so much, is to use some kind of phone limiter. There's so many options you can choose from. My wife's sister uses the brick, which you can put on your fridge or wherever you want to put it. It's a physical device that you scan your phone with the app, and it blocks certain apps that you choose during the day, so you can't use them. There's a lot of versions of this. There's just free apps as well, like Screens In. You can use that, and it can block certain apps during the day at certain times. My wife and I use the Bloom card. I prefer this because sometimes I'm able to watch YouTube at work while I'm working. If I'm by myself, I'm in an office kind of away from everyone. If I want to just pull up a podcast on YouTube or like pull up a video in the background about productivity, whatever it is, or just games I'm watching, I can do that occasionally if it's like a really slow day. I mean, just being honest, everyone probably does that. But most of the time when it's a busy day, I don't want to be even tempted to pick up my phone and look at any kind of social media, YouTube, anything like that that's not, important or pertinent. So I basically scan the card to my phone, put it in my bag and zip it up, and I can't access any kind of social media, YouTube, anything that's not like really important besides, my financials. I personally think deleting social media is an incredible thing for everyone to do. I know that it's not easy for a lot of people. I used to have all the social medias possible. I mean, I had Snapchat, I had Instagram, I still have Facebook just for birthday reasons, and, older family members will post on your birthday. But I don't have notifications turned on for that. I have Reddit still just because, I don't know if you noticed, I need that to look up video ideas. TikTok, YouTube, I try to stay off a lot of them during the day, and really, I only want to access YouTube from our TV in the living room. Because when you can bring social media around with you in your pocket everywhere, it's so tempting to just, I have, wait, let me just look at this and just start scrolling as much as possible. It is scientifically proven to not be good for you. They want you to stay on there as long as physically possible. I just don't want to spend all my time looking at brain-numbing content about nothing really, that's not really helping me move forward, be productive, or just kind of have a goal. It's just endless. I'd much rather read or play a game that has an end goal in mind, like a retro game, like I was saying earlier. And it's really helped me to focus when I need to, using the Bloom card. Like we each have one. My wife leaves hers at home because she's a nurse. She can't really be on her phone anyways. But it really shines when we're doing quality time at home at night. Like if we're just watching a show or something that we're really into, we want to, focus fully on the show. I say, hey, let's, lock our phones, and we just block them so we can't look at social media or our games. It's pretty often, like, I'm not, by no means am I blaming anyone, because this is like a pretty common thing for most people, is while you're watching something and you're not like fully engaged or forcing yourself to watch fully, you can easily just get on your phone and start looking at YouTube or playing like a game. Like my wife plays Sudoku all the time. But since we started blocking it, it's actually become easier to focus. You would think the problem is our attention spans. And it's like, oh, we can't focus because our attention spans are so bad. It's because we let them get so bad. If you force yourself not to be able to even look at anything else, and you focus on it, you can really just focus hard on one thing. Now, of course, there are attention disorders, and if there's something like that, this is not going to work for that. That's something that a doctor needs to give you more advice on if that's the case. But just speaking from experience, it's so easy to get on your phone and just start scrolling while you're watching YouTube on the TV or watching a show on the TV that you're not like fully paying attention to. If that's the case, choose something more interesting on the TV and put the phone down. It also has helped us go to sleep because you can block apps at certain times of the day. So pretty often at night, we both just set up where we have like a strict no unblocking policy from like, I don't know, 9:30 or 10 to 6 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. So that way, if it's like 10 o'clock at night and we're laying in bed and I'm like, I want to go watch or look at YouTube and just scroll for like a minute. Nope. I've blocked myself from doing that. And then I go, you know what? Good point. Let's put the phone down and go to sleep. Or I can just get my Kindle out and read for a few minutes. And I don't know if you've read right before bed because it puts me straight to sleep. So it works every single time. It has helped my sleep schedule so much that I highly recommend it. And this has probably turned into a longer video than I expected. But I just wanted to share not only just some of my hobbies, to be honest, but just things that I feel like help me be so much more productive. And just reviewing real quick, the first thing would be having a pocket notebook. Does not have to be the Field Notes brand, but they have some really cool ones. Using some kind of to-do list app in your phone that tracks everything if you need to make it digital, like Todoist. Getting a non-smartwatch, like a G-Shock 5600, which is my recommendation. Just try it. You'll thank me later. Going back to retro handheld games. Also, side note, on the Retroid Pocket 6, you can literally play Steam games on there now. So if you have like indie games or not high requirement games, you can play them on that too. Next was reading, audiobooks, paper books, Kindle. It will change your life. Just find something that you like, whatever genre it is, and just try it out. And if it's hard the first part, just stick with it and trust me. If you like sci-fi, Project Hail Mary. If you like dystopian, I've heard Red Rising is good. I haven't gotten to those, but try that out. Wake up early on the weekends to do your task. You'll have so much time that things are not expected of you. Invest time into yourself and your own interest. Always do chores before fun time. If it takes 5 minutes or less, do it now. If it's hard to do later, just go ahead and do it now. You'll be so much better off, trust me. And lastly, try out some kind of phone blocking device. Does not have to be the brick or the Bloom card. I know those are a bit extreme, but at least try to block it around your sleep time. Sleep is the most important thing in the world, and so many people in the world get less sleep than they should. Sleep is the most important thing that pushes basically all of your function for the whole day. If you can at least control that, let that be the only thing you take from the video. Alright, I've rambled for a long time. Apologies if my voice is still a bit gone. I am still congested, but I am pushing through. I just wanted to share some of the knowledge I've gotten over the past few decades with all of you. And hopefully it helps someone either discover a new hobby or be a little more productive or have the motivation to try something new. I mean, heck, last year I actually ended up getting an old iPod and modding that and putting all my old CDs on there and music library on there. Even my parents' CDs. It feels cool to listen to the things they did. Like, that's a hobby I have. I still listen to that pretty often. I have an iPod. It has like 500 gigs of storage on it. It's never too late to start hobbies, so just start them now. Just see where it takes you. If you're having fun, then it's worth it. I hope you appreciate this longer, different style video. I know you're used to me reading stories, but I've had a lot of this stuff on my mind and I wanted to share it with all of you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like on the video and feel free to subscribe to keep up with the content I'm putting out and hear more stuff like this, or hear more stuff like reading funny Reddit stories. I've decided that the community that we are building is going to be called the Boneheads. I just think it's really funny to call y'all the Boneheads. Calcium Crew was also on the list for possible names, but the Boneheads is just way funnier. It's a term of endearment, I swear. But love y'all, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.